Shalom. This study is titled The Chase. Give Caesar what is his. He who has an ear to hear, let him hear what the Ruach HaKodesh is saying. How far are you willing to go for money? That is the question you should ask yourself. I don't mean to briefly think about it, but be true to yourself and with yourself. Now evaluate that and ask yourself, is that a good thing or a bad thing? What makes a person get up and drag themselves to a job that they don't like from 6 a.m. till 3 p.m.? In some cases, get off that job only to go into another job for 8 more hours. Question: what makes a prostitute sell their body? Question: what makes a man betray his friends? Question: what will men kill for? Now these questions have a common answer. And during this study, we will look into that common answer. Now, money is not a bad thing, but the desire or the lust for it is what's harming people's mentality. Because the principle of life is lust brings forth sin, and sin brings forth death. Now, in this study, we will evaluate Yahusha's mindset towards money. Now, ultimately, that will be Yahuwah's mindset, because Yahusha only came to do the will of his Father. Now, let's get into it. This is Tribute Money to Caesar. And before we get into this, I want to give you a little background during this time. During this time, Rome was occupying Jerusalem. And the leaders of that time within Jerusalem were the Yahudi leaders, Pharisees, scribes, and Herodians. And they were not too fond of Yahusha because he was not a respecter of persons. And he would tell it like it is. He would give them the truth, whether they liked it or not. So numerous times, they sought different opportunities to entrap him or entangle him in his words. But it was to no avail, because he spoke the truth only. His words also made the people of that time look at the leaders in a different light, which made those leaders despise him for his actions. Now, during this moment, the Pharisees tried to entrap Yahusha with his words. And here is how things transpired. Now, as you see on the screen, I have the KJV version up, but I will be reading from the NIV version. This is Tribute Money to Caesar. Then the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap him in his words. They sent their disciples to him, along with the Herodians. Teacher, or master, they said, we know that you are a man of integrity and that you teach the way of Yahuwah in accordance with truth. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? But Yahusha, knowing their evil intent, said, You hypocrites, why do you try to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying the tax. They brought him a denarius, or penny, and he asked them, Whose image is this, and whose inscription? Caesar, they replied. Then he said to them, So, give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to Yah what is Yahuwah's. When they heard this, they were amazed. So they left him and went away. Now we will get into some precepts to gain a little deeper understanding. Recap. Precepts is done. Line upon line. Here a little, there a little. Now if you look on the right hand of the screen, you'll see Matthew chapter 22 and 15. And that'll take us to Mark 12 and 13. And this is pertaining to, Then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk. Mark 12 and 13 reads, Later they sent some of the Pharisees and Herodians to Yahusha to catch him in his words. Now we will drop down to Luke 20 and 20, and we'll stay with, Then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk. Luke 20 and 20 reads, Keeping a close watch on him, they sent spies who pretended to be sincere. They hoped to catch Yahusha in something he said, so that they might hand him over to the power and authority of the governor. Now we're done with verse 15, and we'll drop down to verse 21, and we'll look for why within the verse 21, which reads, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto Yah the things that are Yahuwah's. And that'll take us to Matthew chapter 17 and 25, which reads, Yes, he does, he replied. When Peter came into the house, Yahusha was the first to speak. What do you think, Simon? He asked. From whom do the kings of this earth collect duty and taxes? From their own children or from others? Staying with, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto Yah the things that are Yahuwah's. That'll take us to Romans 13 and 7, which reads, Give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Now, as you can see, Yahusha had the stance, Give unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and give unto Yah the things that are Yah's. Now, as you can see on the picture on the screen, that is a modern day dollar. What Yahusha was holding was a penny from the time of Rome. And with that inscription on there, he said, give Caesar the things that has his image on it. Now, as to the hand that was holding that quarter, give unto Yahuwah the things that hold his image. And from here, we'll go a little deeper and get a little bit more understanding. Walk with me. Now, what you see on the screen is 1 Timothy 6 and 10. And that is the KJV version. I will be reading the NIV version. Stay with me here. But when I'm precepting, I'll stay with the KJV version on the screen. Just as a recap, precepts is done, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Now we'll get into 1 Timothy 6 and 10, which reads, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from faith, or translation emunah in Hebrew, and pierced themselves with many griefs. Now, if you look to the right hand of your screen, it states Deuteronomy 16 and 19, and that correlates with S within the verse, which reads, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which, while some covered after, they have erred from the faith, and perished themselves through with many sorrows. And going to Deuteronomy 16 and 19, which states at the bottom. Now I'll be reading this one from the NIV version also, so stay with me. Do not pervert justice or show partiality. Do not accept bribes, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the innocent. Now we'll go a little deeper by chasing the precepts of Deuteronomy 16 and 19, which, as you see on the screen, is on your right hand side. And we'll also break this down line upon line, here a little, there a little. And we'll start with the first letter, which takes us to Exodus 23 and 2, and also verse 6. And this correlates with, thou shalt not wrest judgment, or in the NIV version, pervert judgment. And we'll go to Exodus 23 and 2, which states, do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert judgment by siding with the crowd. Do not show favoritism to a poor person in a lawsuit. From there, we'll drop down to Leviticus 19 and 15, staying with, thou shalt not pervert or wrest judgment. And Leviticus 19 and 15 states, do not pervert justice. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly. From there, we'll move on to thou shalt not respect persons. And that will take us to Deuteronomy 1 and 17. Do not show partiality in judgment. Hear both small and great alike. Do not be afraid of anyone. And before we get into the last portion of this verse, I neglected to do the precept of Exodus 23 and 6, which relates to thou shalt not wrest or pervert judgment. And pertaining to that, here's what Exodus 23 and 6 states. Do not deny justice to the poor people in their lawsuits. Have nothing to do with a false charge. And do not put an innocent or honest person to death, for I will not acquit the guilty. Now, we'll drop back down to the letter N and take care of the last portion of this verse, which states, neither take a gift, for a gift does blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. And that will take us to Exodus 23 and 8, which states, do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds those who see and twist the words of the innocent. And from there, we'll go to the last verse of this portion, which will take us to Ecclesiastes 7 and 7. And we're staying with, neither take a gift, for a gift does blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. And going into Ecclesiastes 7 and 7, which states, extortion turns a wise person into a fool, and a bribe corrupts the heart. Hallelujah. Now, as we see, going a little deeper into these precepts, how money can distort a person's judgment. And even if they're seeing right, their eyes can be blinded by greed. Let's go a little deeper. Here is an example of greed blinding a person's judgment. We will get into Judas, a disciple or student of Yahusha. This is Matthew 26, verse 14 to 16. And this is titled, Judas Agrees to Betray Yahusha, or the Bargain of Judas Iscariot. And it reads, then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, what are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. Now, I don't have it up here, but I want to get into one verse and highlight it, which is verse 15. And asks, what are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? So they counted out 30 pieces of silver. I'm going to precept this, which is going to take me to Zechariah 11 and 12. Now, this is pertaining to, what are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? So they continue to count out for him 30 pieces of silver. And Zechariah 11 and 12 reads, I told them, if you think it's best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid him 30 pieces of silver. I got one more verse to precept, which is going to take me to Matthew 27 and 3. Now this is still pertaining to, what are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? So they continued, so they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. Now Matthew 27 and 3 states, then Judas, which had betrayed Yahusha, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders. Now, as you can see, Judas' judgment was blinded by greed. And after he saw what took place and conspired with Yahusha, how he was beaten, crucified, and hanged from a tree, he was remorseful. So he took those same silver coins and tried to give them back to the chief priests and elders. And they said, "Nah, we don't want your blood money. Keep it." That's just showing you how money can blind a person's judgment. Now, what you see on the screen is Matthew 6:24, which I will read, and I will be reading from the NIV version. What you see on the screen is the KJV version. And you also see to the right of the screen some precepts. I will not get into those. I will let you do the work on those. Because nothing is yours until you understand it. Now, during this version, or verse, Yahusha was talking on what is true treasures and how to store your treasures. And what you see on the screen is the verse that I wanted to highlight and talk about, which is Matthew 6:24, which reads, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both Yahuwah and Mammon, or money." Now, I implore you to read the whole section, and it's titled Treasures in Heaven, and it is in Matthew 6:19-24, and it'll give you a little bit more gems in there. Now, if you look at the bottom of the screen, I have two definitions for Mammon. Mammon is wealth regarded as an evil influence or false object of worship and devotion. It was taken by medieval writers as the name of the devil or of covetousness, and revived in this sense by Milton. To the right, second definition, Mammon, a demon or deity of greed or material wealth. Mamona or Tanera, la lanera, a traditional type of Colombian and Venezuelan barbecue. Mamona, a name used in South America for Renicus or castor oil plant. So, Mammon is a ruach or entity of greed and material wealth. And this is why you say don't get caught up so much with money, because money can blind your judgment. And it will cause you to not make a just judgment in a lot of cases. So when he say the love of money is the root of all evil, it is the desire of the money, not the money in its form. Because money can only cause you a paper cut, because it is paper in this hour. But the love that is within you can take you to dark areas in your life and cause you to do things you would not normally do. So basically, the influence of money is tied to a spirit or ruach of greed. Summary. Conclusion of the matter. Check, then double check, even triple check your list of priorities. Evaluate your list and see where Yahuwah stands in your life. For some people, it is money, water, food, house, car, clothes, then Yahuwah. As you can see, Yahuwah, for many, the Father, is last on the list of priorities. This is the perverted list given to us by society. Now, if you want any success in your life, I advise you to place Yahuwah where he needs to be in your life, which is at the top of the list as the chief cornerstone. Let me put it how Yahusha stated. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yahuwah and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Hallelujah. Understand, money is not evil, but the love of it is what's ruining the species of man. Male and female created he them, man. So, if you find yourself going limbo low for money, I think it's time to discipline yourself. Look at the picture that is on the money and render unto Caesar what is his, and give the Most High Yahuwah what is his. Keep in mind, he created the tree that was chopped down to create the paper that the money was printed on. As always, it's your choice. Just choose wisely. All praises to the Most High, Yahuwah, Yahweh. Translation, Yahuwah who provides. And I want to say thank you to Yahuwah for giving his example in Adonai Yahusha HaMashiach. Shed light on life. And shalom.